just to thank everyone that have the opportunity to join this session today. Yeah, it's a lot of commitment. So it's also very good when we organize this kind of session and we see a lot of people that turn up. There is always a motivation from us running the show rather than, okay, we just 2 or 3 persons join the call. But just to thank everyone again, I will just start share my screen now so that we could start where we stopped last week. Please let me know when you can see my screen. Okay, can we see my screen, please?
We can.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, so where we stopped last week was on, when we have the relationship created. So some of the relationship, have been auto created based on the settings I have on my own Power BI. So we tried to create some of them last week, which was the one we created ourselves, this ship ID and ship via. So everything seems to be perfect now. We can start, okay, let's start building some of the specific measures rather than relying on the implicit measures. We focus on the explicit. So this is our relationship. This is our view. We have all the tables connected to each other, and we can see what we can do with this. So, but before we do that, we start creating our measures. We need to, some of the styles I do adopted was, I normally create like a table, which I'll call a key measures, just to put everything. Maybe we calculated like the total revenue, we calculate total quantity, we rank the employee based on the revenue. So we can have that, well organized, just having a new table here, or either down or upper parts, wherever we put it. So how do I create a new table? So I can do that by saying, I want to enter a data here by just saying, I think there's a chat or something in there. Sorry, I don't, is there any comment? Okay, summary of last week. Oh, okay, yeah. So let me just go back and let's look at where we had, okay. Right. So let me just, can you still confirm you can see the Power Query aspect of the Power BI?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So as I mentioned in some of our previous sessions, this is like the kitchen where we do all the cooking. You can see some of the steps, we have taken in transforming this our data. Some of them here, they're going to stay here in the kitchen, won't, go to the dining where we'll do the final, the eating, as the case of where preparing the jollof rice or fried rice, as the case may be. So we loaded all the tables into our Power BI, and we did some transformation. Some of them is that, okay, we remove the irrelevant columns that we think, is not part of the scope of this case study we are working on. We also try and do some, by changing some of the data type, look at, okay, this one's supposed to be here, and we try to say, okay, we don't need any, merge. We merge some columns. One of them is that we merge this last name and first name. We merge this together using the transform function and call this an employee full name. And I think in the customer table, we did the same thing. Yeah, we did the same thing by, okay, we made 2 columns, which is, so this one was merged as a new, as an existing query, unlike the other one where we merge it as a new query. Yeah, so this one was made together as customer full name. We don't want it separated. And I think, yeah, so that's the basic of all the transformation. We promote first row as header in some cases. In some cases, we rename the column, and one of the key one is this other details table where we did some additional column by inserting, okay, we want to see, we have the unit price and we have the quantity. So how do we get the sales amount? We did that by, okay, different way we can do that, selecting each of these column and go to the transform function saying, okay, you know what I want to do, or just go to add column. What do I want to do? The function that I want to use in this case is I want to be able to multiply, or I want to divide depending on which of the case, the function that we need to perform. Yeah, so this is it. Did I want to divide? Did I want to subtract? Or I want to add it together? Or I want to do maybe percentage of a certain value based on these two columns. So we did that and we were able to calculate our sales amount. Now, they were given discount, which we change the data into a percentage. We want to be able to see, okay, now that what is going to be the sales amount should in case a discount, the discount sales rather. So how did we do that? We multiply this percentage by this sales amount and it gives us, okay, so on this particular item that was sold, there was 0% and discount saying was 0. Yeah, so this is perfect. But let's look at this one, this item here. This one, 15% was attached to that item. So we'll now look at, let's multiply these two and see, okay, what is the amount that we was given of based on this particular item, and at the point, at the time it was sold out, which is roughly, let's say 222.6 pounds in this case. So we do that, and I think that's all we do on this particular table. Moving on into the product table as well. So we look at, okay, is there any possibility we can calculate, in terms of the cost of the operation of the organization? So, we deliberated too much on this last week, and we say, okay, based on this, there's no way we can do that, though there are some elements we think maybe we could have used, but for the purpose of this case study, there is no any cost, which we are going to assume that as maybe our discount sales as the money that the organization has spent. So that's some of the things we discussed last week. This is the cheapest table. Yeah. So the basic transformation we do here was to remove some irrelevant columns that we don't need, which is, you can see the phone. So that means I remove the phone number. I can just remove these steps again and see, okay, so this is what I removed, and I can go back and say, okay, you know what, I don't need this column, let's just take it off, and we have our steps back the way we had it originally. Moving on into the suppliers table, we also look at this table and we remove some columns, and firstly, I think we promote, the first header, first row as header, we change data type and we remove all the columns. And that's all we do on the transformation in the Power Query. Yeah. So any question at this moment based on what we did last week, or do you want, you have something to add? Anyone? Are we good now? Right, I'll take that as everybody's okay. So let me just go and close and apply. Right, so we are back into the canvas now, which is the dining table. Yeah, so as I mentioned, I want to create a new table where I can put all my, maybe all my values, the data that I'm going to use, just like, when we had the food prepared, it's normally packaged maybe in a big of bowl where you have the jollof rice separate, you have the stew if you want to use stew. We have, the fried plantain, we have the chicken, separately on the dining table. Now, although some of them are here, we can easily pick them. Some of them are here, when you have everything just packed in a single bowl for you, the whereby you don't need to pick choices. But now we want to be able to arrange that into a different column now. And say, okay, you know what? Whenever I calculate a certain value, which is what I did independently of where the tables we have in our data set, I want it to be saved in a particular place whereby I can easily call them back, or maybe if I send the PBIX file, which is the Power BI file, to someone, anyone can easily read, okay, this is what you did, I can see. So now how do we do that? I'm just going to go into the, just go to the home, you see enter data. See if you want to embed, now we are trying to embed a particular data, a table rather, in this Power BI, rather than loading from Excel, or maybe we are loading from SQL or other platform. So let's just go ahead now, enter data. So I'm going to call this key, this table, let me call it key measures, because this is where, I have some of my key items, or maybe you can say, yeah, let's use key measures. And I can just go ahead and load it into my Power BI canvas. Excuse me. Yeah, it's taking some time. It's just going to load now. Yeah, so if you notice, we have it here already now. You can see this is the table, and the other column I have in there was an empty column. So the first thing we are still going, maybe we can delete this, or we can even hide it later on. But let's just go ahead and say, okay, let's do our first calculation. What do we want to calculate? Let's go to our other details. If you look at these other details now, other details, we have, each of the other item, we have amount, the sales amount. So how do we get the total sales amount now? So, of course, we can just drag this and say, okay, because this is already a number, based on anything that we see is in number format, and you can perform different types of aggregation, maybe the sum, the average, depending on the one you want to use. So if I just go ahead and say, okay, I want to display this sales amount, of course, it's going to give me my sum of sales amount, but this is independent, because it's dependent on my tables that I loaded. But I want to make sure that whenever I'm using a value, I want it to be independent, just separate of whatever I load in my data. So how do we perform that? And that's where the DAX functions come in. And thankfully, Microsoft have just introduced, the Copilot, which can help us, whenever we are struggling with the DAX. And I think I shared a link the other time, which is called DAX.guide. Yeah. So anything on DAX, you can, like what I want to do now is the sum function. So maybe I want to calculate something. Yeah, I can see sum. So how it's going to tell me, and there is always a video at the top right corner that you can easily watch and say, okay, this is based on what you want to do. And just say, okay, if you're calling up a sum function, you need to specify a column name. And an example, you will always see an example, just like, okay, this particular person is trying to sum a particular table, which will always come the table and the column where you are calling up. So let's try and do one of the examples. Now, we want to calculate this total sales ourselves now. Maybe we can even call it total revenue as this case, just for the purpose of this case study. So how do I go about this? You just go to your table where you want it to be. There is always a 3 dot here. I'll just click on this. Of course, you can come here and say new measures or quick measure, but I prefer to always use that, so that whatever measures I'm creating will be contained in a particular table that I've chosen. So let me go ahead and say, okay, new measures now. It's coming up, yeah. So this is where I'll write the formula. So let me say I want to call this total revenue now. Revenue. So I can use the sum function, which is what sum. And it's, automatically there is this IntelliSense or something. Yeah, it's going to automatically tell you that, okay, it's already know what you're trying to do. It's asking you to select the column. So, and where is the column we have? Our column is called sales amount. Let's just try and see if you can start typing in something, along the line of sales amount. Yeah, I tried typing SAL now, and I can see it's already bringing it for me. So I don't need to type everything for me. I can easily pick here. This is the table and the column I'm looking for, and I just close this. You can see now I have my total. So let me just go ahead and hide this for now. I'm going to hide this empty column because I don't need, yeah. So the reason why, if I should have had it deleted, these my key measures will have still be maybe the last part or in the middle of how the data is, the table is arranged. But I normally like it to be, okay, everything I'm doing, I'm calculating, myself, should always be at the top. And that's the reason why it was hidden, not deleting it, because it will still see that, okay, that means it's gonna count it, the table will come ahead of any other table. So now let me pick my total revenue in this case, which I call my sum of sales amount. You can see it's the same thing. It's the same thing, but this can stand on its own independently regardless. So which normally make, how we arrange when you are building the reports in the Power BI, you have everything well organized such that if anybody, want to look at your report, they can understand, end to end of all the things you do. Does this make any sense rather than just picking, that means the person will have to, okay, you pick some sales amount here, start looking at where is that coming from in the table. Yeah. Any question at this point? Hello, are we still together?
It's just a little bit of contribution, sir.
Okay, ma'am.
So measures, we use measures or we create measures just to make, just to create flexibility, to make it easy for us to slice and filter through around the data, as we desire. And measures are more of mathematical calculations that could be simple or they can be complex. It depends. Thank God, functions have been built into Power BI now to help write it in case you don't know how to write what you need to write, or even ChatGPT. I use that one a whole lot so I don't disturb my brain, too much. So measures are like all these tables that we have seen by the side, that key measures table. It's like all these categories, customers, employees, orders, other details, product shippers, suppliers, all those tables. But the difference is that it's a virtual table. So while we have those categories, all of those other ones we started with, while we have them physically present within our data, these measures we are creating are virtual. They are there, but they are not there. It's like we are doing virtual meeting now. We are there, but we're not having a physical meeting. But it's not like we are not there. So measures are important where necessary. We don't have to have them. It depends on what you want to do with your data. Most mathematical related projects would need them. All actually would need them, no matter how little, So it's just a way of you trying to harmonize your data so that whichever category or whichever column from any table that you are trying to filter with, there will still be a good communication. We'll have a part of the class at some point where we discuss the data model, those relationships that we are creating and what they mean and why they are necessary. Because it is when we have a good data model that we can have a good report. So a lot relies, even DAX, in writing your DAX, it relies a lot on the data model that you have built. So we'll have a class where we discuss the different types of relationships that are possible, the different schemas that are within our data structures, why we have them, what is necessary when. That's where we can, further understand what we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Auntie. Thank you, Mr. Azim. Before you go on, please, what do you put in the total revenue? Is it just the sales amount? Just.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I put the sales amount.
Okay, like when I type it, mine is not showing these other details. Do I need to type it first? Yeah.
Actually, you don't need to. What like you see now, I'll just try and delete it because I have a column named sales amount. So what I'm doing here is to just try and type the sales amount. So as I begin to type the sales amount, which is the column, but the name of the table is called other details.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So whatever depending on your own table, but if you have sales amount in your in any of your table, you have it the way I've written mine, then you can just type and say maybe you want to type sales amount. As you are typing it, it's going to streamline it to that particular, it will automatically sense, okay, what column you are trying to pick. You can see the moment I put a AM, it streamline it to that specific column in that table.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And also just to add, let's say you have maybe 5 million or even up to billions number of rows. So what that means is that if you are using these implicit measures, so anytime maybe you have your data refresh or maybe a particular person is trying to consume your report, the performance of that report will be slow because that means it will start going ahead and do the calculation at that point in time. But this minimize that that performance because this one has already missed, just like Madam mentioned, is a virtual, and you have it at any point in time on that particular report. But in the case where you are using this, that means anytime it will start doing the aggregates every time you try to open that report, which is not too good. And that's where we have the optimization of a report is another aspect of Power BI that we can also try and look into in the future. Yeah. Right. So let's create maybe.
Hello, Mr. Azim.
Yes, sir.
Your sales amount, do you have your discounts in it or not?
No. This one we did here is the total revenue. So I'm still going to calculate. We have two tables here, two columns rather. So now what I want to do now is to calculate the total discount sales. This is the normal sales amount, which we have calculated. So let's do something. We can calculate all the discount sales and subtract this from this and say, okay, now you know what, this is our net revenue, as the case may be. I mentioned before this case study that we are going to take this discount sales as maybe the cost, the money that was incurred by the company, because we are not giving that total cost. Does that make sense, sir?
No worries, it's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, let me just try and calculate. Okay, let's calculate the discount sales now. I can calculate that new measures. Let me call it discount sales. I'm going to call this discounted sales. So let's say sum discount sales. So for me to calculate my net revenue now, I can say I can subtract this from this. So let me create a new measure. So I can say call this one net revenue. Can call this, okay, total revenue. Now I'm not going to call up this total revenue, which is my total sales minus discounted, yeah, this one. Right. So let me just try and put them I'll just copy. Okay, I don't even need so. This is my net revenue. This is the total revenue. Right. Okay, I had this one already. This is the discount. So yeah. So this is it, sir. So I've calculated, okay, this is the money the company, that was given off based on in the course of, the transaction. So initially, if that has not been put in, given off, this will be the total amount, and I subtract that from this, I got this net revenue. Does it make sense, sir? Are you clear now?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
So we'll just start creating everything based on what we have. And at the end of it, we'll create the visuals. So the next thing that we also need to do is let's look at, the total freight, because it was given part of the requirement. So new measure, let me calculate. It's gonna come now. Okay, total. Right, so I can use the same function sum. Yeah. I have this as well. What else can we, I think we need to calculate the total orders. So let's calculate the total orders now. New measures. So for us to calculate the total orders, you know that we have the orders table. Let me open the orders table. This is the orders table. So how do we calculate the total number of orders? So we can say, okay, we can count, we can use a function called count, each of this order, how many, let's count it, and we'll be able to get, okay, that means we have total number of so amount of orders. So there could be a possibility that maybe a particular order ID is repeated twice. Maybe that particular, in the processing of that order, it was processed twice. So in that case, we'll need to use the distinct count, such as it should in case maybe a particular order, ID number, because this is a unique, it's supposed to be a unique, but there could be a situation whereby maybe employee A and employee B process the same order at the same time, but at the point of maybe it's now going to be processed, the final process stage, that's when that was discovered. But there could be a possibility that that will be still part of this transaction. So in that case, for us to be able to think ahead, we'll use the distinct count to say, okay, let's count the total number of ID here. So I can just go again, go to my key measures table, new measures. I'm going to total orders. So I can use distinct count. So what do I want to count? Order ID. Yes, order ID in the orders table. This is it. I can go ahead and count this one out. And I have this created as well. Are we still together? Hello?
Please, if you need clarity, please, please put your, let's know if anything is not clear, please.
Okay. Right, so let's calculate. I think we need to calculate the profit margin now. So how do I calculate the profit margin? We can say that, let's create a new measure as well, new measure. And call this profit margin. Right. So I can divide, this total revenue here, this my net revenue, I can divide this my net revenue divided by total revenue. So I should be able to get my profit margin. So that is using the divide function. So if we are lost, we can always go back to this dax.guide or even ask ChatGPT that, okay, ChatGPT, I want to perform, you know, I have two tables named net profit, you know, as based on the what they normally call this thing. I just skip my mind now. I think that's just skip my based on the prompt. Yeah, prompt you want ChatGPT to do, then you can just get that out for you. There's a want to look for divide. Yeah, divide function. So this is the divide function. It's just gonna, okay, divide. You have your numerator, your denominator. Then it will ask you, okay, maybe you want to divide. Let me see a simple example. This one is too complex. I don't want to go into this. Yeah, let me just go back to the Power BI. So I want to divide, you know, the net revenue now. I'll just pick it, divide by what, which is going to be the denominator now. In this case is my total revenue. And I can close this up. And see, it's just command. You're giving the command, divide net revenue by total revenue. It's just what you want to do. And how does this make it simpler for us? Because some of those things we have calculated it and we can easily call them up here. So if I just hit enter now, and because we need our profit margin in percentage, we can put it in percentage. Let's say we don't want any decimal, okay. Or let me just leave it at 2 decimal places. So we can go back. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, do we have profit itself before we go to profit margin? Do we have anything on profit?
Right. So we don't have anything on profit, but you recall I mentioned that because there is no total cost.
Oh,
so
right.
we assumed this discount sales as our cost.
You know, something I saw in one of the works I've done before in Excel. We've got a cost in products. Let's check the products table.
Okay.
I think we've got a cost somewhere there, which we can actually use so that we have a perfect picture of what we are actually doing. There is a unit cost somewhere in products.
We only have unit price.
Unit price. Okay, so you see the unit price here. Is there a way we can take it to what's our many table? Other details or others? The one that has total sales and stuff like that.
Okay, we have this unit price. Is the same thing we have in our other details. You know, we have each of the items, you know, each of the products. Let's take, for example, product ID 65.
Yeah.
Let's go product ID 65. Let me just go down 65.
Hello, Auntie Debbie.
So.
Hello, Debbie. You know, cost is synonymous to purchases, while price is for sales. So you know, once you want to calculate your product cost, so it's going to be your unit cost times the order.
Yeah, times the total quantity.
Yeah. So you cannot really use this the unit price for something that you purchased.
Do we say this is supposed to be a unit cost?
Yes, maybe that heading is not well captured.
Okay, let's try it then. Maybe let me go back to the Power BI query and let's do some transformation and see what we are going to have. If we can say, okay, this is the unit price, and then this is, let me say,
unit price. That unit price, we just change it to unit cost, and use it to you know, calculate, to multiply the quantity that we have on that or that table, just so we can move on from, so that we can have a proper profit. If we don't have profit, we can't have profit margin. That way it will sink well into people more than, you get what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean. You know that we've talked about this particular case study for some time now, about the challenge, about the data, the requirement. So, which I just want us to understand the concepts. This may not be 100% accurate, but we understand the concept, which we agree that maybe we'll have a better case study that people can understand better how everything. But let's see what you talk about. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so let me split this.
No, we don't need to split. We just need only this unit price. So if we merge product table with that other details and bring only unit price into the other table, it will be fine. So if you click on other details.
Okay, so you want me to bring, I should change that one to unit cost and bring it here, right?
No. So now click on merge queries.
Okay.
Let's go on merge queries.
I know what you mean, Ma. You want me to bring, so, but before I could bring that in it, do you want me to, okay, just let me, okay, I think I understand what you want.
No, and David, I think that order is for sales. So if you are merging this unit's cost to that order, now it's going to be negative, I'm very sure, because you cannot always have the same order and the same kind of unit order too. So because once you use that order, so it's going to, you know, inflate the cost of that particular order, because you are selling the same order and also purchasing the same
order.
Let's try it. If it doesn't work, we know that we try.
I'm sure it's not.
I like to experiment.
Okay, so I will change this to unit cost. So I will bring this now. Transform. Sorry.
So while you are doing this part, please be explaining this part as well, so that we are refreshed on how to merge.
Unfortunately, there is no product ID here. Let me go back. Let me look at the other details. Okay, there is here. So, okay, now I want to try and bring that unit cost into this other details table. So I'll match queries, and that is, I need to, you know, pick the primary key in each of the tables. So now I want to pick this product ID, and the other tables that I want to pick is the products. And this is the product ID as well. Right. So I've got 2155, you know, times of the data. So let me do this. And I'm going to expand this and pick only that unit cost now. Unit costs, I don't use column as prefix. Right. Okay. So this is the unit cost here now. So you want me to multiply this unit cost with a quantity. Is that right, Mom?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. But I doubt if this will be. Let me. There is the transform. Okay. Right. You can see, I just want to point out something. This particular order, look at the cost here, this 252, and you are selling as 168. I doubt if this is gonna be the case now. Just look at this, it's too wide. I'm not sure we can go this route.
Okay, no problem.
The ID order will have been go to the product table. Go to the product table.
I'm just gonna remove some of these steps here.
Go to your product table. So the ID order could have been the, you can see the unit quantity per unit. So they didn't calculate it properly for us here. So this could have been the real order for us to use, but it's not well detailed, and it's not well captured rather. So there's no way we can use it. So
say 10 boxes.
yes, at 20.
Bags.
So that could have been 10 times 20 could have
20
been
times
yeah.
the unit cost. Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
6 bucks cost this. Let's see if we can actually split this and do yeah, let me split this and do the multiplication. Let's see what we are going to have, if that is possible.
It's not possible. I have seen some things again that do not make it, because you can 500 grams. 500 grams what?
No, what you just suggested, let's try it out and see. When we get to the point where we'll backtrack, yeah? Because this is the reality of how it happens at work. You will start off in a way you think is all right, then you will just hit one brick wall and you have to start again, and it's just the reality of it, yeah? So whichever way you are thinking now, let's try it. It's part of the process of learning, because in trying, we will learn something new.
Okay. So let me use the extracts. If I use okay. If I use extracts, okay, let me use extracts. Extract the first 3. Okay. I've extracts. Okay, because there are some. Okay, I can't use this extract because there are some. Okay. Let me take it off and use the split function, split column by delimiter. Okay, I want it to be space. I want the leftmost delimiter. Yeah, let me use this left. Okay. So everything is here now. Everything is here. So let me knock this one off. Be moved. So maybe we can, let me change this to a data type. I'll change it to whole number. There's a problem somewhere.
No, why we cannot use it. We have some parts that we have just 500 grams.
Yeah,
like,
it's true. We
cannot really use it. So I've seen that. I've seen that part that it's not going to work.
Do we not have an option of, when we are splitting, separating number from character, or how do they say? Under that, the delimiter split to column or extract. I think it's split to column.
Yeah, we have, man, but I think we should not waste too much time on this, because we still have some other things.
It's not going to work because there are places that you just have 36 boxes. So you get, there are places that you just have 1 kg per pack. So you get, so there are places that you just have 2 kg per box. So what is the total unit ordered? We don't really know. So it's going to take a lot of time for us to get it.
I think we should
except we do not want to start calculating per grams, grams by for you to have 500 grams. So what is the cost of 1 gram per per one. Then you start dividing, do a lot of mathematics and all that. So I think it's going to take time.
Yeah, because we still have some other case study that we think we can just and yeah. So as I mentioned, we just assume this discount sales as the total cost, and how we're able to get the profit by saying, okay, this is the total sales, which the total sales without the discount sales, and we subtract this, got this as the net revenue. In this case, maybe net revenue profit. Maybe I should even make it net revenue profits as a title. It's just an assumption for the purpose of this session. The other thing we need to do is the total orders. Okay, I think we've done that. Let's see what the total orders. I think that should be around 830. Yeah. The profit margin. Let's look at it. Yeah. Okay. So I think this is okay. Maybe we can start building some visuals here now. So let me just delete everything. Yeah, so based on the requirement, they want to see the total revenue, the net, that's the profit, the total orders and the profit margin. So I can just, instead of using, different card per one, I can use the new card that Microsoft have just introduced, this one. So everything can just be together. So total revenue first. Yeah, maybe this is total sales or total revenue as the case may be. Net revenue, this is the second one. Let me try and expand this. I also want to pick the discount sales too. I want to pick the total orders. I want to pick the profit margin. Right, okay. So let's quickly do some small formatting. Total revenue. We want it to be, it's in currency as well. We don't want any decimal. Yeah, I'll just remove the decimal. But the way it's showing 1 million something. I don't want it to be in that case. I'm going to remove this M. So I need to format more options, call outs. Let me remove this. It's too much in terms of yeah. Display units. Maybe I want it to show as none. Okay, I think I prefer it to show as none. You should not put any unit, maybe in million or in abbreviation. So I want it to show like this. I want to remove this decimal too. Decimal. I don't want any decimal. Yeah. So at a glance, I have my total revenue, net revenue, the discount sales, the total orders, the profit margin. Maybe I can add some, make this in the form of a round rectangle. Yeah, I think I prefer this. So we've done this. The next thing we also need to do is we're meant to calculate the total freight by company name, right? So we have our total freight already, which is this. And we can go to the company. Where do we have the company name? I think we have it at the cheapest. Let me see, we have it here, cheapest company name. Yeah, this one. So I want this to show as a donuts. Maybe I can just put that one for here for now. Put this here. Then another thing I want to see is, okay, net revenue by, in terms of profits, in terms of the category, the product category. So we want to be able to see which of the products is giving more money. I can pick my total net revenue. I can pick that, and I need to go to my products. Products. I think that should be, is it product or category name? Let me see. Okay, category, yeah, this one here. Right, so I can pick this one too. I can see that it's the beverage, category that is bringing more money in terms of the profits. Let me put this one here. We can also do, in terms of the money, the revenue by ship, the total freight by ship city, which was part of the requirement that was given to us. So how do we do that? We can represent that in form of a map. Let me look for where we have the cheapest. Okay, yeah, the suppliers, this one. So this is the city we have here, but the data is showing in form of, where is it now? Yeah, the data is showing in form of text. We can change it into, a location specific data category. So this is in city. Let me pick this one now, city. All right. I think the cheapest too. Where do we have? I can change this one to country too. Country. I think there is another table we have location. Let me see. There is another table we have a location. Yeah, this one too. So this is where the products were shipped to. The orders rather. So let me change this back to city as well in terms of the data category. The country as well. I will change this to country. Okay. So now we can represent, the total freight, where all those things are going against the ship city where they are. So where is my ship city, which is in my orders table? Yeah, I can pick this. I want to look at, okay, which of the city has the most, the freight. So I can pick my freight from here now, which we have in our key measures. Yeah, and that is showing in terms of the bubble size. So the higher the bubble, the higher you can see it from here. So maybe I can change this to the Azure map. I think I'll prefer the Azure map. Yeah, this one. Okay, yeah, I prefer this one. So I can see this particular city is where most of my times of where my orders are going. Maybe the people I can do some marketing strategy, for these people to expand, depending on the organization, targets. And I think another thing I did was to, okay, we want to see orders by month because we have the order dates here. We can see, okay, which order is coming, which month do we receive high number of orders? Do we receive high number of total revenue? We can calculate that and just put that here. So let me just go ahead. I'm not going to create any table. I'll try and use this order dates just like that for this session now. So total orders, I can pick my total orders. And let me pick the order dates. Okay, it's showing like this. I don't want it that way. I want it in form of, let's say this. Right, can put this one here based on data, and maybe let me drill. I think I'll just drill down to show in months, right, to the next level. Okay, I want it to show in months. Yeah, I think I'll prefer this one. Okay, I'll just put this here. Right. So maybe we can also do in terms of the products, the different category. We look at the total revenue, create a small table here. So let me just try and quickly do that. before we round up this session. So we can use the either the matrix, or we can use the table itself, but maybe I'll just use the matrix for this purpose here. So this is the matrix. I want to pick the category. Where is the category? I want to pick the category name. I want to pick the total revenue. I want to pick the net profit revenue and the profit margin. Right. Okay. So this is what I have here. I can even go ahead and add another level of hierarchy here. Maybe the product name. Let me add the product name. Where is the product? The product name. Yes, I want to add this. Oh no. The product name should be with the rows. Right. Okay. So at a glance, so that everybody, if someone click on this, this category beverage, you can see all the products under it, and can see how they contributed in terms of the net revenue, the profit margin, as this case for now. So I think this is how far we can go on this session. Yeah. And I hope we've been able to pick one or two things. It's just that this case study, there are a lot of things that need to be clarified if it were to be a normal work that we need to develop something, whereby we need to engage the stakeholder and get more information. But we just assume this, and I think we can round it up for this North Wind and look at start looking at something else next week. Yeah.
Mr. Azim, the question and answer features, where is it here? I can't seem to see it on your own.
Okay, the Q&A.
Yes, Q&A.
Yeah, we can add it.
Where is
it? This is Q&A. It's somewhere. Let me see. Yeah, this is it.
So we can start asking questions and see if what we've calculated is correct.
But no, okay, this one is the Q&A. It's different from. Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's different from.
Yes, we can do it from here.
Yeah, it's different from Copilot. Yeah. Yeah.
So
let's
type,
ask it a question.
Just type
so
maybe
and before you normally ask a question, you need to train this model or this particular model. There are some things you need to put the use of words, train it in terms of to understand some synonyms. But let's just go ahead now. Total, let's say total sales. I'm not going to use total revenue, total sales.
It's going to bring it up. So
total sales amount. Yeah. You can see.
So let's ask for the average sales then per product or per, what else can we call that? Yeah.
Average sales products, product name. Or let me, product name.
Something like that, yeah. So we can also use these parts if we don't want to start calculating those stuff and all that,
Yeah, but that is, you can only rely on that when your
calculations is correct from the cleaning
correct.
stage.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. No worries.
Yep.
Have we got any more questions? Should we challenge ourselves so that we have people come to present or to us next week? I think we did that at some point, and it was good that people could come up and teach us. Just so we are able to also measure progress. How are we doing in this class, So I think it's something we should be able to do. What do you think? Do we accept?
Yes, ma, I support that, ma.
So that we will know that, okay, oh, up to a certain point, oh, I remember we had Mr. Ferdinand, one of the classes, and it was awesome to see him, you know, bring the data in and do so much work on it. So let's suggest who is presenting to us next week. Sister Eunice, Sister Felicia, Mr. Mayowa. I think Mr. Dami has also presented to us before. Mr. Dami, have you presented to us before?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Sister Dewumi, do you think you can do it next week? Come on. If you can unmute, let's know.
No, I'm not. I'm not able to do it next week. Sorry.
Why not? What happened?
Well, I've only been in this class for, this is my second time, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around what is going on.
But that's an opportunity to even come and get it better now.
I'll pass this time. I'm very sorry.
No problem. No problem. Sister Eunice, I'm counting on you. Oh, yeah.
Sister Deborah, God is my strength, but I will try my best because my laptop was switched off at some point. I was coming in and out. My network was bad, so I couldn't follow. But if I go back and get it right, I'll message you. But I need to get it right because I'm not happy. So
Oh,
that's
no,
why
you don't need. If we all get it right, we would be here learning. Whatever it is, you
but
will
what you've taught us today and last week, I need to get it right. So I need to fast track. Even I'm looking if there is a chance you could help us reshare that of the 2 weeks because I tried to look for it, but
it's all been reshared.
Okay, I will look for it then and I will do it again because